welcome to Happy Chick. Today we are making fresh fig wine. I love figs, and July is about the time when figs start kind of coming out, and so I have a very good friend from work. Hi, Miss Chloe. Thank you for bringing me these figs from your sister's trees. Now, I know it's not July anymore, but I did freeze these figs because it helps break them down, produce more juice, and then I did thaw them out again. You might want to do that when you're using fresh fruit to make wines. It just brings that juice out further. That way you don't have to keep mashing and blending and mashing and blending. It kind of does the trick for you. Cooking fruit does the same thing. It breaks it down, opens the cell walls. So let me show you. To those who don't know what a fig looks like, or a fresh fig for that matter, you'll probably see dried figs during Christmas time. They're very popular going into like Christmas cakes and figgy puddings and things like that. You rarely see them fresh. So let me pull one out. Now I did clean and destem them. So this would be the end of the stem. So this is what it kind of looks like. And then if you break it open, here, let me put this in a bowl so I don't. There we go. If you break it open, you got these, I don't know if I can get close enough, those little seedy things and stuff like that. If you are a fan of fig Newtons, you know that little kind of like seedy, yellowishy, grainy part? That's what's the inside of the figs. Yummy, yummy, yummy. All right, so we're going to go ahead and let me close this up before I spill it all over the place. So what I'm going to do is actually mash these up in this bag before they even go into the bucket. That way it's less of a mess for me. I have 3 pounds, 10 ounces of fresh figs. This recipe, you can go between 3 to 4 pounds of fresh figs. If you don't have access to fresh figs, you can still make this with dried figs. And you'll need about 2 pounds of dried figs. This recipe I actually got from a book that my mother-in-law gave me. It's called Easy to Make Wines from Mrs. Jennery Taylor. And this is like from the 50s, I think. Let me see if I can find the date on this. Let's see here. Copyright 55. So it's kind of on the old side, but it's still a good recipe wine. It has all sorts of wines in here. So I use this quite often to develop my recipes. If I haven't found a recipe online that I want to try, I'll go to that one. So let's get cracking here. I'm going to actually move these to the side for just a moment. Let me move this out of the way so I don't spill anything on it. We're actually going to be using brown sugar today. I'm going to put it in my bucket of fermentation. And I figured brown sugar, the recipe does call for brown sugar. But I figured the brown sugar would actually make it a really nice recipe. Now I've got light brown sugar, just cheapola. These are 2 pounds. Measure out 1 pound, and then the other bag is completely 2 pounds. So let me do that really quickly. Okay, I've got 3 pounds of brown sugar in my container. I boiled some water in my hot pot. So we're going to melt the sugar first before we put in the fruit or anything else for that matter. That way it helps dissolve that sugar, and I'll be able to see if it's dissolved yet or not. So let me pour in the hot water. A spoon. Of course, everything has been sanitized in my Star San. So let's get stirring. It'll take just a few minutes, so we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so the brown sugar has dissolved, and as you can tell, I'm not at the 1 gallon mark yet. So I'm going to pour in some cool filtered water to get up to that 1 gallon mark. That way I know I will have 1 gallon of wine after it's completed. Because the fruit will actually produce some juice as well, and that will bump it up some. So I'm hoping I'm hedging my bets that I get at least a gallon of wine. So, here's some cool filtered water. So I'm just going to pour that until I reach that 1 gallon line. The beauty of having the dark brown sugar look is I can see right into the bucket when I reach that 1 gallon mark. Smart, huh? Okay, let's just give this a little stir just to incorporate all that in there. All right, so now we've got our sugar water. What else do we put in this sucker? Well, this is an older recipe, so a lot of times the old recipes will have some ingredients that you might not think about, but that's what they put in it back in the day. So we're going to follow this recipe. So I have a 1/2 pound of currants. Now the recipe does ask for a 1/2 pound of chopped up raisins, but I didn't have raisins. I had some currants, so I just used those. Currants are just like raisins, but they're very tiny. They were kind of hard to chop up to tell whether I actually chopped them up or not, but you know. So if you don't have currants, which the recipe calls for is raisins, just use a 1/2 pound of dried raisins, and then just chop them up to break them apart, and we're going to go ahead and dump that in. That was a 1/2 pound. Okay. The recipe also called for about a 1/2 inch of bruised ginger root. Now, I keep mine in the freezer when I use mine, so I just had to pull out a nub and let it defrost, and then I just kind of chunked it up. I kept the skins on. I don't peel off the skins or anything. This is just for some flavor. So it's about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of bruised or chopped up fresh ginger root. Next, we have the juice of 1 lemon and 1 orange. I just used a navel orange. So we're going to put that in to the mix. And also the peels of the orange and the lemon. So all I did was used a vegetable peel to peel the peels off of the fruit, and then I scraped off that pith. So let me show you how this was done. Alright, so it's really easy to take off the pith. It's a little bit harder on lemons because they are thinner skinned than oranges, but it can be done. A little pith on there is not going to hurt anything, but you just don't want huge chunks. So 1 lemon and 1 orange of the peels. Now you could zest these if you really wanted to, but I find it easier to pick these things out if they're a little bit bigger. All right, so that was the 1 lemon and the 1 orange. Okay, let's give that a stir. Oh, that's going to be so wonderful. Now, let's turn our attention to these pigs. See if I can get that. There we go. Okay. Ugh. So I have 3 pounds, 10 ounces of figs. I showed you what a fig looked like. So these were whole. I didn't chop them up or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just mash them in the bag. They should mash up pretty easy. Let me get some of the air out. That might make it a little bit easier. There we go. It'll take me a few minutes to mash these all up because I want to make sure all of them are mashed so they give me every lick of juice that they can. So I'll be back. So these are all mashed up the best that I can. So let's go ahead and get this into the bucket. Okay, and squeeze out every little bit that I can. Okay. That was a little bit of a mess because I was trying to clean out the bag. Let's give this a good nice stir to incorporate the fruit in with all the liquid. It doesn't look very appealing right now because it's like fruit pulp and mash and, you know, but it smells pretty good. Okay. Okay. Now we need to do a specific gravity, and since it's really like pulpy and I'm going to use a sieve and try to eliminate some of that pulp so that we can get a fairly accurate reading. Okay, let's try this without spilling everything. So I'm just going to push the sieve in so that all I get is some liquid and not the pulpy of the fig or anything like that. And do the best I can with not spilling everything. Now, I'll probably pick up some of the fig seeds and stuff because they're so small, they're going through the mesh anyway, but that's okay. All right. Got that floating. Let's take a look and see where we're at. Okay, so our specific gravity is right now at 1.114. So, let's go ahead and pour this back in. We don't need that anymore. Okay. The only thing left to do is put in the yeast. Let me make sure that this is cool enough because I don't want to kill the yeast. I'm going to be using a Lalvin EC-1118. That's the one that I've been kind of having some trouble with, but I'm going to use the whole package. They haven't expired or anything, so, but they're getting close. They're going to be expiring next year, and so it's either kind of like use it or lose it, I guess, you know. So I'm going to try using the whole package, and hopefully it'll go. With all this nutrient and stuff, I can't see why it wouldn't, so. All right, it's under 90 degrees, so we are good to go on that. So what are we going to do this? We're going to, for 10 days, we are going to zhoosh this around so that all the fruit stays wet. And have, of course, cover it with our airlock. I'm just stirring the yeast in so it's just not sitting on top. Of course, between the fig seeds and the yeast, it's hard to tell if it's gone down or not. All right. Where's my top? Oh, I forgot my top. All right, let's go ahead and top her. Make sure it's nice and sealed. And then my airlock, which is filled with some sanitizer water. It's all nice and clean. Pop her in there. All righty. So I'm going to label this bucket, and we're going to zhoosh it around every single day for about 10 days. And then we will come back and do basically a rough rack and put her into a clean demijohn, and then we'll go from there. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. You have a great day. Bye.